Hey, hi everyone. This is CIS-125, and we are working on a summary of the first day. Okay, so we did our login, and then students had to change their password. We've got a couple machines that are finishing up some updating, so they weren't available the first day. Then they fill out their cards, first, last name, their career plans, some technology background, and hobbies. It's optional. And then on the back, what they expected from the course and any learning concerns. And I'll go through those here the next day or two. Then we talked about algorithms, pseudocode, and flowcharts. Pseudocode, false code, algorithm, or process. And so we did the division algorithm. We said, what if you took 10.3 and divided it by 1.7? And then we said, well, if you just think about that, that's around 10. This is almost 2. Your answer should be more than 5, but not much over 6. And then we actually went through the process. Okay, so the process was we drew this, wrote the number in, wrote the number here, and then we moved the decimal, and then we did our work. We didn't finish it, but the algorithm always works. That makes sense? The algorithm always works. I then marked the class, what day it was, and we talked about memory. We talked about the processor, moving program instructions from memory to the processor, and then storage. I want to make sure we were using the same terms, and then I asked the students if they knew what arithmetic logic unit was. Actually, we asked if they knew what these letters meant. And so we talked about the computer can do arithmetic, and then it can do less than, greater than, or equals to. We talked about storage being where you stored your files, okay, memory where they're being processed, and the processor. And then we also mentioned storage could be network, like here, work servers, we're going to talk about those, or you could store it in the cloud, actually through the internet to some service in the cloud. I talked briefly about structure and design, false code, here's a flowchart, and then there would be pseudocode. We didn't actually write any yet. And then from there you would develop the source code. And we'll review this. We're going to start here tomorrow. On Wednesday. We have the source code, and it's either compiled or interpreted. If it's compiled, we compile it into object code, and then we link it in executable code. There was an example over here of putty.exe. That's an executable piece of code. It's going to be able to run that on the operating system it was designed to run on. So your compiler would compile based on what operating system you're going to run it on. Your executable. Okay? Now in Python, we're going to be able to, these two steps, we're going to use an interpreter. So every time we execute our code, it'll go through these two steps for us, rather than have to compile it every time. And we talked a little bit about Python and where to find it. We have a source where we're going to use Code Academy to start working on it. We've got a book, and we've got another resource for Python. There were a couple of optional textbooks, and they're listed in the syllabus, and we talked a little bit about those. So that's a quick review of the first day, at least what we had on the board.